Hello and welcome to this week's Scribbles update, and this week we're going to be looking at quite a lot of Xbox stuff because it's been a busy week for them. So let's have a look at the first news item. Okay, so this week IGN have been hosting the ID at Xbox event, I would say. I don't know if they've done it before. I can't remember something like this happening. So they've had every day like little announcements and stuff like that, or like people playing the games, game demos and things like that have been announced. It looks like it's been a fun time. I haven't seen all of it yet, but the first day they had like a proper announcement like sesh for about, I think it was about half an hour, 45 minutes, where they showed a load of trailers for stuff that's either out, coming out, or announcing to be out soon. So I thought I would just quickly run through like some of the big announcements that happened. I'm not going to do everything, but these are just the ones that caught my eye. And yeah, so we're just going to have a quick run through and have a look. The first thing, which was like the major big announcement that I could see, was the 2024 Game of the Year, I believe. Balatro, that card game, which was a really big surprise for everyone, but apparently is amazing. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, and this might be my opportunity because it's coming to Game Pass, not in the future, now. So the day that they announced it on the Monday the 24th, I think it was, they said, by the way, it's on Game Pass. So that's really cool. So everyone who's heard of it, wants to give it a go, if they've got Game Pass, they don't have to fork out any money for it other than your monthly fee. You can just download it now and give it a go. It sounds really interesting. And they've also I don't know if it's added or adding in the future, skins for the cards and stuff like Fallout, Assassin's Creed and Civ, just a few of the big ones, but there's loads more. So it looks like Microsoft is really going in for this Game of the Year, which why wouldn't you? So I'm definitely going to have a check out. I'll probably do it personally, not for like the channel, because I'm not sure how well playing this game would transfer over to YouTube. But maybe in the future, if I do play it and think, you know what, this is actually really fun, I might do a couple of videos on it. Next, there was another big one, which it was big because I didn't even realize this was going to happen. So there's a new movie coming out this year, right? Tron Catalyst. A lot of people very excited about it, as you would be, because the Tron Legacy, I think, was a really fun movie, and I think has improved in public opinion over the years. It's a bit of like the Star Wars prequels. When it first came out, there was a lot of people who didn't like it, and now there's a lot of people who are like, you know what, that was actually a really good film. But Tron coming out has obviously paved the way for a new game to come out as well. So it's going to be named Tron Catalyst as well. It's a top-down hack and slash, I think, from what the trailer was showing. And it follows this program called EXO, who can manipulate time. So there's like, they showed in the trailer a lot of like running through a level and dying, but like just before you died or just as you died, you could rewind, then you'd know where all the people were coming from, and you'd be able to like strategize and then do like the perfect run. So it looks like it's not like a new concept. We've seen it in other games before, but it could be really interesting in the Tron world. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not 100% convinced it's for me. I don't know, there was something about the look of it. It was a little bit too, it's by Disney, right? It looked a bit too Disney. I don't know if you remember, there was that game where it had all like the toys that came with it, and like it's got the really like Pixar big eye characters and stuff like that. It looked a little bit like that, and I was like, I don't know if that's Tron for me. So we'll have to wait and see how that looks and plays. But an interesting one to be announced for sure. The next thing that came out was 33 Immortals, and the reason I really caught my attention is the concept is taking raids from like Destiny or WoW and stuff like that, where you get a load of people together then you go on a mission, and at the end of it you have to fight a huge boss and stuff like that. You're taking that concept and you're making it a matchmaking game, almost like sort of like an Overwatch style or like Rival style, where you jump in, you do the raid, and then you come out and you do the next one with a different group and stuff like that. So it's like a top-down, looks a bit like Diablo-y, a little bit. A lot of top-down stuff at the moment. Like, I'm trying to think how best to describe it. It does look very unique at the same time, but kind of like a Diablo style, I think. And it's like a group of people are thrown together, 33 I'm guessing, and you have to go on these runs and do raids and stuff. It comes out on the 18th of March, so really soon. It looks really interesting. I'm kind of excited about it, and I think that's one that me and Patch Note Blokes might be trying when it does come out. So keep an eye on that channel for when it does come out, because I think we'll be lapping up that kind of raid stuff, because usually there's so much build up to get into a raid, and it can be exhausting. But the fact that you can almost like cramp that down into like this, like maybe like hour experience would be really cool. It'd be like a really cool thing to do. And if it works well, I wonder if this might be the start of the next big craze, like the raiding part of a game taken out and just made into its own game. And all these other companies are going to start copying it and doing that again, but in different ways. So it's one which I'd definitely keep an eye on, and it might be quite interesting. Next up is something which I misunderstood. So Lies of P Overture got a trailer as well for the Idea Xbox thing. It was also shown at PlayStation Showcase earlier in the month, and I talked about it then, thinking it was a sequel. What it actually is DLC for the main game, Lies of P. But the looks of it made me think it was a sequel or something like that. So that does tell me that that's quite an impressive piece of DLC, maybe. So I know nothing about the game. I've not played it before, but the DLC looks very interesting. It looks really well worked on, and good graphics and everything like that. So definitely something to keep an eye on, methinks. I'm saying that a lot. Keep an eye on all of these games, and I won't have to keep saying that, will I? Next up, there was a game which came out a few years ago. Well, a few years ago. I'm old, so it feels like a few years ago, but it's probably quite a long time ago. And that is Journey to Savage Planet. And they've got a sequel, which has it was announced ages ago, but it's been kind of like confirmed with a release date for, called Revenge of Savage Planet, on the 8th of May. It's coming out. So the original was like really colourful, really wacky, really fun, and like I believe, I'm trying to remember, I think there was co-op. I think I played it with one of my mates. And this new game looks like they take that idea and just add to it, make it even more wackier, even funner, like loads of co-op like stuff about it as well in there. Really looking forward to that one. We really enjoyed playing the first one, but we kind of lost interest quite early, so I'm hoping they've done something to kind of keep you hooked, if that makes sense. Okay, and then after that, they kind of continued the co-op theme, and they did a trailer of Jump Ship, which is an indie game. Well, a lot of these are indies, but like an indie co-op 1 to 4 player. How they described it at IGN was Sea of Thieves, Left 4 Dead, and FTL all mixed together. So in your head, you're probably thinking, if you haven't seen the trailer, you're like, what does that even look like? It looks really cool. You got basically spaceship people in spacesuits, like they're jumping to and from ships using jetpacks. They're like either raiding ships or like breaking down like wrecks and stuff like that. There's like having to manage on your own ship, like manage the guns and stuff like that, and the engines and things, like repairs and everything like that. It looks like a really cool game that would have a lot in it to learn, but once you get it, it will be like really satisfying to do. So that one I'm very much looking forward to, but it doesn't have as much of a stamped on release date. It's summer of 2025, so sometime this summer. But with games, you know, that if they give such a wide deadline, sometimes makes me think that might be delayed even more. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's also a 2D side scroller called Echo Weaver, which gave me, it was very pretty, very like the Ori games, kind of gave me a little bit of vibes from that, like not in terms of like aesthetic, but just like the well polished art and the nice movement style and stuff like that. So I think that it's going to be a very nice looking game, but it's one of those ones where you're gonna, it's a Marmite game. You either love it or you don't, because it's going to be one of them ones where you have to play through the levels again and again. There was a quote for it where it says they want players to perfect the loop while playing it. So it's like a time loop thing where you have to go through it again and again and get the perfect like jumps and slides and stuff like that. So interesting, not my thing, but looks very nice. A game that is my sort of thing was another one which they announced, which was called Moonligher 2. Now, I played the original one and absolutely loved it. And seeing the trailer for the second one, I was like, I don't think I ever did a playthrough on my channel of Moonligher. And I'm really tempted to do the first one while I wait for the second one, because I really love that game. It was a really fun game to play, because basically you inherit a shop. This story has been done a few times, but I feel like Moonligher did it well. So you inherit a shop, and the way you stock that shop is after business hours every day, you can go to the dungeons and do, I think you can do 2 runs. So when you come out, it's still nighttime. You can go in and do another run. But if you die, you come out and it's morning sort of thing. So you get like transported back out in the morning, and you can't gather anything. And I think if you die, you lose everything as well. It's a really, really fun game. So you either have to choose to go deeper and risk losing all your loot that you gathered, or gather a load of loot on the early stages, take it back to your shop and fill it up and sell that stuff. But obviously it doesn't make as much money. It's a really fun game. The controls really, really good as well. And I love the art, but this number 2 completely the graphics have been redone and upgraded majorly. It's all 3D. It looks really cool. And I'm just really excited for this one to come out. It only says 2025 for the release date. That could be any time, but I'm guessing end of the year, probably like October, November time for release, if they haven't got a month yet. But sometimes they do like quite quick releases once the month has been announced, so it might be sooner. But whenever it does come out, I'm lining up for it. I'm getting it for sure. So that one's looking good. Another one which I'm actually quite excited for and do really want to play is Blueprints, which is coming out on 10th of April. So that's actually got a date. And I watched, Sips played an early access copy, and I watched him play through probably about an hour, and I love the vibe of it. It's a puzzle game where you pick the rooms. So you go into a house, you pick, you've got 1 or 2 rooms already there, but you have to pick the rooms to create a maze to get to the end to get to the last room that's available at the top. So you're picking rooms, but each room has different qualities to it. There's a certain amount of doors to it. You could have a door on the wrong side, so then you can't go any further, and you have to just start again the next day. So it's kind of a loop concept as well, but really cool looking and nice art style and everything. Just looking forward to that game. So when that comes out, which isn't long to wait, I'll probably be giving that a shout as well, because it does look like my sort of thing. I think it comes out on Game Pass as well, which is kind of a no-brainer for me. If they come out on Game Pass, I'm usually cool, don't really have to pay anything, because I push the monthly fee away out of my head. So I might as well download it. So that one looked really cool. Next up was a game where it was a unique concept, which I like. So a lot of games usually are either shooting, farming, or fishing, right? And there is obviously life sims and everything, but you don't usually have a game where the core idea behind it is different to like all of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? But there was one called Herdling, and you herd these like alien sheep things, maybe rams. I don't know. They looked very strange, but quite cute and cool. And you have to. It looks like it's got kind of a journey. So there is like a bit of a linear path, but it looks also quite open, so you can lose track of like your animals and stuff. But it looks like there is some sort of narrative around you leading the animals to somewhere. But it looked really cozy. It looked really fun, and just such a unique concept. And I love when games are creative with not just like the graphic style or the gameplay, but like with the actual idea of what the game is. It doesn't just have to be an FPS or something, you know what I mean? Like it can be something really out there and different. So I'm looking forward to that one. That looks really interesting. It was another really interesting concept of a new game called Outbound, which was announced as well. And this is the actual concept is one that you've seen many times before. It's like a base builder, basically. Yeah, you've got farming and resource management and stuff. But the charm about that is it's a rusty old VW camper, and you then have to make this VW camper yours by adding stuff to it, like improving, like taking the rust away and stuff like that, and making it your, like, you can add like a farm on top or a solar panels and stuff like that. You can add like little bits that like fold out when you stop to camp and things like that. It looks really cool. The graphics look really cool and like really cutesy and very nice on the eye. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really like relaxing one to play. Really chill. You kind of stick it on and you just kind of go on a little bit explore of the wilderness. So I don't think they gave a release date for that one. 2025, I think, but nothing more than that. So it looks interesting. We'll see. And they really followed. They had like a big selection of just cute games. Do you know what I mean? So they also had one called Tanuki Pond's Summer, which it looks straight out of a Ghibli movie. And you're basically a small raccoon who has a part-time post job, like delivering post and stuff. And then it looks like you've got a lot of like stories around the people and stuff. So while you're doing post, you like meet different people and you can help them in like things that they need done around town and stuff like that. It looks like a bit of a live sim, a bit fun, and again very chill, very kind of happy play this just to escape from the world sort of thing. So yeah, it looked really interesting, that one as well. And there was other games, but those were all the ones which kind of stood out to me. There were actually one there was which just stood out to me in the wrong ways. Is they're making a snowboarding game called The Descenders, and it comes out in April, 9th of April. But I was thinking, we've had so many games where you start at the top of the mountain and you go down, and I can't think of many that have stood the test of time and are that good. Unfortunately, for instance, like Steep, I think had a steep decline when it first came out, and like didn't really get that great viewership, people playing it and stuff like that. So I just wonder, like, it's obviously something which people love to make. Is it something that people love to play? I'm not sure. It's a really interesting one that they're doing another snowboarding game. Maybe this one will be different. Maybe this one will be super fun. It didn't look that different to me. It looked like the same as a lot of the other ones. Nice graphics, don't get me wrong, very pretty, but like, what's going to keep me on there? And I think that's always the problem. You just have the freedom to be on the mountain, but sometimes you want a little direction in your games, and they don't give that when you're on a snowboarder. So that was everything that came from Xbox. Obviously, you're not getting the AAA games on these announcements because it's the ID, it's the indie developers at Xbox. So you get a lot of the smaller games which are coming out, but I like that they get their own event, they get their own kind of platform to say, hey, look at us, because there's a lot of games there which I think a lot of people will look at and think, damn, that actually looks really fun. I definitely want to give that a go. With the AAA games that are coming out, actually, there's not a lot. coming up. I mean, there's Assassin's Creed, and that's all I can think of really coming up in the not too far future. So these indie games are going to be the things that keep a lot of us gamers going, I think. Let me know in the comments if you managed to catch the trailers and stuff, or if you just caught them after, and if there's anything that's standing out to you, because there's a few that I missed. I know, like, I don't like the horror and stuff like that, so I think there was a few horror games which I was a bit like, they look okay, but I don't really want to talk about them. And there was a few other games which were announced like later in the week, which I kind of saw, had a look at, and was like, I prefer to talk about the ones that happened on that first Monday, because that was like their big like event that they had like lead up to and stuff. But yeah, that was the first news item. Let me know what you think in the comments. And we're going to move on to item number 2. And staying on the Xbox theme, unfortunately, it's not as good news as the first one, but we have to have some downer news, don't we? Is in the world we live in nowadays. So there's a new game coming out. Well, a new game, a reboot of an older game, Fable. A lot of people love the originals. It came out in like the 2000s. For me, anyway, I think actually some of them are old in the 2000s. But really fun, like 360 games. I played Fable 3, and it was you kind of have this fantasy world which you like save the day in, but you also were able to like buy property, like talk to people and build relationships, and like it was all like the fun stuff, you know, like a very RPG sort of style, but with like this really different kind of British sense of humour, and kind of just like a lot of thought that went into like the things that you could do in the game. So this new one that came out, we'd only ever had like cinematic trailers, which were great. I really enjoyed them. The Richard Ayoade cameo in them was pretty awesome. But unfortunately, it's obviously not such a big game that they are taking longer to make it than they thought. And the release date has been pushed back from 2025 to sometime in 2026, which could be the end of 2026. We could be like years away from this. Delays do seem to be a normal part of games now, which annoys me, because it's like, can you not figure out your timeline? Like, I know that you've got shareholders that you have to keep happy and stuff like that, but figure it out. And don't keep people on tenterhooks and then just whip it away. But talking about delays, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have them if the game's not ready. It's just that the timeline's not being realistic kind of annoys me. Because if I would much rather have a delayed game that comes out and is good than a not delayed game that comes out and is buggy as hell, and no one enjoys it, and we're all just like, why did they release it like this? So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't delay, I'm just saying maybe we can have a little bit more thought about how long it actually takes to make a game. Like for instance, we all get annoyed with it, but like Elder Scroll doesn't have a release date yet. Like, don't give us a release date until you know it's ready, you know? And that's almost like a area where it's worked for me, because I know it's coming, but I know it's probably not coming for a while, because they haven't even given us a year. They don't know when it's coming out. They're working on it, sort of thing. And that way we don't have a date in mind, and when we get closer and closer, we don't have them saying, by the way guys, damn, we weren't ready. So do you know what I mean? So it's a bit frustrating, but I understand why they've had to do it, sort of thing. The head of Xbox Game Studios, Craig Duncan, did say in his interview when he was talking about Fable, it's definitely worth the wait, which of course he would say that, but you know, that's a good sign that they're quite excited by it. And he also says, so really excited about the plans, really excited about the future. I want the community to understand that we do these things for the best of the games and the teams, and ultimately that results in the best game for the community. I mean, yeah, that is basically saying what we all would expect, is that but what I like that he said the teams as well, though, because it's not just the game being good that we need to think about. Like, working conditions for like game creators shouldn't be working like 12 hours a day and never seeing your family and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It needs to have a good work-life balance there, and the only way to do that is to have longer times for games to be made. And I feel like there's so much money in the gaming like ecosystem and like economy, like you have to, like there's still layoffs and that happening. I feel like those layoffs might be preemptive just because people are greedy. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm going off topic here, but it just feels like, yeah, give them longer, but don't fire them because you're not making money off of the game which hasn't been released yet. Do you know what I mean? Things like that are a bit like it feels like they're trying to take the money away from the wrong place. Take him away from the bonuses of the CEO, and then you should be all right. Do you know what I mean? So they did, though, going back to Fable. Sorry, I got well sidetracked. Going to Fable, they did release some pre-alpha game footage. It was only around about a minute, but it did show like combat. It showed the protagonist, that lady who's in the other trailers, fighting monsters like werewolves and a giant chicken, and it even ended with a famous like Fable joke of kicking a normal sized chicken, which you were able to do in the other games. So it looks like it's kind of normal combat where you're like, you can block, you can roll, and stuff like that. A lot of games have the same sort of combat system. Graphics look really nice, even for pre-alpha. I'm going to say I liked it, but was that a pre-rendered? I don't know. Or was that actual gameplay? They said it was gameplay, but who knows with these trailers that they release. So that was my second news item for today. We're going to end up on an interesting one with Call of Duty and AI. So Call of Duty has been saying for a while now that, Activision, have been saying about Call of Duty that they don't use AI content or any assets and things like that. And then Steam recently changed their terms of service so that any games that contain AI assets or content or anything like that, anything to do with AI, has to disclose it on Steam to say that this has got AI generated content. And doing that kind of forced Activision's hand to finally admit that they were using AI content. There was whisperings of people like saying, I think that's AI content, and for a lot of like promotional images and things like that, or banner images. And Activision kept coming back and saying, no, we're not using AI. There was one major one where it was a Santa zombie thing that was reaching towards the screen, and he had 6 fingers. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible for an artist to add a 6th finger by accident, but it's a lot harder for an artist to do that than AI to do it, because AI will just be like, here's a 6th finger, boom, it will just happen. And I think that was like the major one that gave it away, really. And I just think that leads to a really interesting point of like AI is integrated into our games and content that we consume. Like movie posters are now AI art is kind of gone into there. Game art is now, and it's only a matter of time before AI starts encroaching on other parts of those things. So like it's probably already has. Do you know what I mean? Like in movies, like it's probably going to do some editing, or it's going to do some sort of really clever like graphics work and stuff like that. But I think the thing that really needs to be looked at is making sure that AI isn't replacing human input altogether, which it clearly has for this one, because a human who's any good at art, or like checking art at least, would look at that and be like, hang about, that zombie has 6 fingers, that doesn't look right. We need to take it back, do some amendments and make it look right. And it worries me that there's going to be a lot of AI without checking. And I think that's the area where we need to, because AI can be a really helpful tool. It can save people time on doing really simple things. But we need to make sure that the people who are skilled in the areas of art, like art design, game design, all editing, everything like that, don't have their roles completely taken away from them, but allow them to use AI to empower them to do more impressive work and things like that. Otherwise, you're just going to have slop. Do you know what I mean? Soulless AI art, which looks terrible in my opinion. I don't really like AI art. And like the games will start getting soulless, because how long until AI starts writing game scripts, starts animating games, like game models and stuff like that, starts making like cinematics, and once it starts doing that, the like the sixth finger in a poster isn't that much of a problem, really. A lot of people will dismiss it and be like, I mean, it's just a picture, it's fine, like it doesn't really mean that much. But then when you're playing a game and some person does a move that doesn't quite look right, or like they don't look like, their face doesn't quite move how it should, doesn't emote how it should, and you're trying to get into a narrative or something like that, or like it just doesn't work properly, like all those things could be because AI has been involved and it's not been like background checked, and this is the slippery slope of where we're going if we just let that go. And the good thing is that a lot of people haven't let that go, and they've been like, hey, down with Activision and stop using AI and stuff like that. And what I really like is some developers have made this like made without AI generated content like badge thing that they put on their games, which is quite cool, which means that like you can really identify games which are like made by people, because like the games made by people are way better, let's be honest. Like we'd much rather play games by people. So that was a really interesting one, which I thought was just like, let me know in the comments as well what you think about this one, where like if you're on the side of like, let's use more AI, it's there, we should use it, or if you're on the side of like AI is gonna be the death of good games, good art, good music, good everything, do you know what I mean, good TV, good movies. So we need to be able to stand up against it and make sure that people have the power to be able to make their visions and their art and stuff without having to always fight against like thousands of AI things coming in. I think we're going to have it go too far before it gets better, but there will always be a readjust when it does go too far and companies realize it doesn't make us any money and it's actually harming our bottom line rather than making it any better. That's when they pull back and say, okay, maybe not time. So really interesting one to think about, because it is actually now in like big corporations using it and stuff like that, whereas before it seemed like AI will be will be here in the future, but it's here, you know. So let me know what you think in the comments. That's my lot for this week's Scribbles updates. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Let me know if there's any updates which you've seen like over the week, any pieces of information, news items about games and stuff which you're like, oh damn, that's really interesting, or oh, I'm really disappointed by that, or you know, I wish that game was coming out sooner. But yeah, I'm keeping my ear to the ground for more information. I'll let you know next week if I see anything. But thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you when I see you.